Hello, everybody. This is Catholic Dad, episode number 284. I'm not yelling, I'm Italian. Why do I say this? Well, I'm always doing teaching around my house or teaching at work or teaching, I get pretty intense sometimes. I took that Ancestry.com thing. I'm approximately 50% Italian bloodline, and I get pretty Mediterranean passionate about things. And I love talking, and I seem pretty hyper excitable sometimes. Now, all that being said is I'm very low on the natural reaction scale. I am very difficult to come to anger. I barely ever have felt the emotion of anger in my entire life. I just don't have that inclination. But sometimes when people hear me talking, they perceive me as being angry. Like, why are you getting angry about things? I'm like, I'm not getting angry. I just want to explain things to you. Well, anyway, I'm not yelling. I'm Italian, and this is how we speak, and this is how we think. A lot of people don't know, but speaking is actually thinking for Italian people. Like, it's how we put our thoughts into action. If you don't have the words, if you don't actually say the words, then it's hard to think as an Italian. You actually talk to yourself a lot, and you go through arguments in your head, and so on and so forth. Sometimes we use our hands, or we're kind of, flamboyant about things. Well, anyway, so I got in a conversation with my very dear daughter. She's wonderful, but she tends to perceive my excitement as anger, and it's just not. But I was talking to her about things. We were talking about the Reformation and Martin Luther and the church and sola scriptura, and I was getting pretty passionate about it. And she's like, "You don't have to get angry about this." Well, I'm not angry about it. And then so I went on to explain things, and I was getting more excitable. It's just the way I work. But eventually, I asked her this. I said, "Do you think, like me getting excited like this, do you think I have any malevolent intent at all? Do you think I'm being malicious towards you?" And she said, "No, no. I think you're actually trying to teach me something, and you're being well intended." Okay, good. Okay, so therefore, you're asking me to bring my passion level down to come to your level, so I'm no longer acting angry in front of you. The problem with that is this: if my thought process is in my words, then you're asking me to change my thought process, like to the level so you could receive it a little bit better, a little less angry. Well, how about this? If you know that I'm well intended, then you got to get your emotions out of it, and you actually have to take the message and divorce yourself from the emotion. That's a much better way to cope with what you're hearing if you're being offended by something, if you know it's well intended. And this is kind of a little bit of a difficult topic, but the bottom line is this: that if you know somebody's being well intended, but they're kind of offending you or acting a little bit angry about things, then you are the one with the problem. And I said, for me to try to like tone down my conversation, that doesn't actually improve me as an individual, because I'm going to go into this world and I have to go fight it out and duke it out with people. And for me to like be worried how offended everybody is, that's going to change me in a negative way. But for you to actually know that you can take far more intensity than you think you're capable of, and actually rise to the occasion and not be angry or not be offended or not think that the world is angry at you, and you can hear the message without any kind of emotion, that's something to strive for. That's something to go for. So I told my daughter I would encourage her that if somebody's being very intense, then confront them, right? And then actually duke it out in a non-emotional way. And if you're feeling like they're being angry, stick with it. And you actually have to get stronger and stronger and stronger, because your dad loves you and he's not going to hurt you. I promise that. But the world will. The world will bowl you over. And if you can't deal with difficulty and angry people and intensity, well, then the world will bowl you over, and it's going to make you a weaker person. So you need to be able to step up and take intensity and take difficulty and take anger and take like strong opinions. That's what you need to do. And then, and she kind of got that message, but I also asked her this question, and it was a little dad trick that I pulled out on her. I said, "What kind of man would you prefer to be the protector of your soul? Would you prefer the kind of man that was kind of concerned about how people heard the message and tailored the message to what made them feel better? Or would you prefer a man, if you had two choices, to say what they think, and say it with passion and intensity, given that they are the protector of your soul? I mean, I'm the father of the household. Her divine soul is my moral responsibility." And there was no blinking, there was no questioning. Yeah, I'd much prefer the intense man. And so when I'm Italian and I'm speaking and I get all like flamboyant and fired up and you get offended by it, you have to toughen up. You don't have to be a snowflake, people. Yeah, because I'm not malicious to anybody. And if you get offended by what I'm saying, it means you are not fortified against the difficulties in the world. It means you're a weak snowflake. And you know, maybe I could tone it back a little bit occasionally. And on the Catholic Dad channel, I think I'm very lame. I think I'm very passive. I don't think I'd say anything difficult. But I would say this: if you are the type of person that's inclined to getting offended and not hearing difficult conversation, you have to toughen up. You have to. And if you're the kind of person, well, there are people out there that are just obnoxious, obviously. I don't want to be one of them. And I'll use the President of the United States for an example. I think he's a great man. Whenever he speaks, I think he's just a calm puppy dog. I don't think he's difficult or angry or obnoxious at all, but half the world does. Well, I would say that's the half the world's problem. They have a difficult time hearing a truthful man. That's what I think. And so I'm going to stick with my intensity and my Italianness. My kids will still stick by me, I know it. But ask yourself this question: if you get offended by people, what type of man would you want to be the protector of your soul? The kind of man that tailors his arguments to make people feel better about themselves and not really say what he really thinks? Or the man that's willing to go in there and fight for it, say what he thinks, and not back down? Well, I think you know the answer to that one. Well, anyway, and therefore, by the way, if your dad's like that, go tell him how much you love him, because he does it for you, by the way. He's passionate because he loves your soul. He wants you to get to heaven, and he's not going to back down from a dogfight any day of the week if it comes to your well-being. This is Catholic Dad making you think about it. Please like or subscribe, get the Mass, and pray the Daily Rosary. God bless you all, each and every one of you.